Okay, so hi and welcome to this episode of FEM. As you can tell, I'm not Gretchen. I'm Alison from Magenta, standing in for Gretchen this week. Today we're going to talk to the lovely Petra, who's going to talk to us about imposter syndrome and something I'm sure we've all felt at some point in our lives. I'm going to hand over to Petra. If you can just tell us a little bit about yourself before we start this Q&A session. So Petra, over to you. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you, Alison. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you for being asked. So my name is Petra, and I'm a financial planner, and I'm a financial coach at First Wealth in London. And I primarily focus on working with women, helping them to create their brand new futures. Sometimes after divorce, sometimes after bereavement, very often it's coming back from maternity leave or just elevating their career. Or some of them are single moms just trying to, make sure that their finances are in order. But that is certainly, whilst I work with lots of couples, lovely couples as well, that is the area of financial planning where I really thrive. So thank
It's a
you. Thank you again for having
lovely,
me.
lovely area that is. So obviously we're talking about imposter syndrome today.
Hmm.
And we've all had those little moments of like, oh my gosh, can I do this? When do you think is the last time that you've had one of those moments where it says, can I actually do this?
Oh, it was funny. I think it was actually before we had our last conversation when we were actually planning this session. I thought to myself, I said, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? Like, I love these sessions. I listen to them. I've seen colleagues and peers on them, and I always was cheering them on. So, who am I to be on this podcast? That was my question in my head. And then I remembered the reason why I chose to be on the podcast. I knew that when I consciously made a decision to be here, because I know I feel very deeply about women in financial services, women in general, achieving their best potential, women living their life by their own rules, by their own values. And that was reinforced at an event last week where this younger, not young, younger female executive came up to me and she said, oh, it's so great that you came, but can I just say, I absolutely love your LinkedIn posts. I read them all the time. They're so inspirational. I like how you empower women. It makes me feel really good about the work I do.
Yeah,
Yeah. There you have me.
well done. And it's brilliant to have you on. And I know we talked about it before, and I told you you'd be
Mm.
fantastic, which I'm absolutely positive you will be.
Oh,
So going
thanks.
into obviously we've had some pre questions written, so I'm just going to
Mm.
read off for some of them then. So
Yeah.
why do you think women in particular seem to struggle with imposter syndrome more than men? And then throwing that back at you, do you think that's true? Do you think women do struggle with imposter syndrome more than men?
Mm. This was very interesting, actually. And I've actually done some additional research just to sort of back my own thinking on this, because, we're recording this. Um, Imposter syndrome, self-doubt, fear of failure, fear of success, self-sabotage, these are all interlinked to me and to everyone else. To make it even more difficult, there are actually five different types of imposter syndrome, like the
Wow.
five different fears that are running in the background in our heads. The perfectionist, the expert, the natural genius, the soloist, and then the super person. And, these are all fears that we are going to be found out not to be the expert that we think other people believe we are, or that we feel under our own pressure that we should be. And that's a really quite hard thing to go around when you are in high pressure jobs, when you are seen as someone of an expert, or someone with educational level of achievement that other people look up to you. And I think men have exactly the same excruciating feeling of being found out just as women.
Yeah, interesting.
And, we work in a very male orientated industry still. And actually, I'm really glad that we now live in times when I see the change and actually really enjoy the fact that I can be part of that change.
Mm.
I mean, I remember last week you and I talked about, how women have tendencies to stay in client support roles and power planning roles. And I thought, why is that? And perhaps the client services and the support roles, they naturally feel a bit more like service, like we're helpful, we're nurturing, we're nourishing, if that makes sense, like sort of women were throughout the history. I think we resonate with these, but also I think these roles make us feel a bit safer. We feel like, they are the roles that we can balance better with other stresses in our life. And I think that was where the crack for me was that, these roles actually can be incredibly satisfying. I certainly loved my roles as power plant. I loved the years, I loved the learning, the support. Um, but I also think, sadly, that lots of women do not come to financial planning to become a financial planner. So I certainly didn't, some 20 years ago, it never occurred to me that one day I'll be a financial planner. But I think certainly I felt, it was a bit too much, it was hard to balance, am I capable to navigate everything else I want to achieve in my life? So I think we have this subconscious narrative that we're going to be found out as fraud, as someone who's, spinning too many
Yeah.
plates, that we're juggling too much, and then how can we possibly, be so excellent at everything, Um,
Yeah.
I had a friend actually complaining to me, like not complaining, fearing that, she's going to be found out that she's not this great executive that she is, because she took time out to go to a school concert. And she's going to be found out that she wasn't present, for these hours in front of a computer. But then she never said, oh, but I worked late last night, So I looked at her and I just went, that's called flexible working. That's the
Yeah.
balancing act. That's not, but we feel guilt for having to manage all these things that we want to have in our life. But what's great is we actually can be, we can be good mums, we can be great wives, we can be good friends, we can be carers to our parents. I mean, that's such a demanding role, and more of us takes that role on. And but we can still have an amazing job and, a fulfilling
Yeah.
career. But it does require a lot of juggling, lots of impeccable, careful planning, and you have to have sort of right framework around you, right help and support. But
Yeah.
it's possible, women.
So that actually ties in really nicely with the next question. Then it says about that women very often they underestimate their worth
Mm.
and what they can do and what they give, but yet there seems to be a narrative that men perhaps overestimate themselves. And I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what's your thought on that
Mm.
dynamic, because that's obviously a narrative that seems to be in certainly in the financial services
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Something just popped into my head. My friend used to saying, you want to get something done, give it to a working mother. Because the more you do, the more you do. And I'm not saying, that men don't work hard. And I really love the fact that men now share childcare responsibility and household
Yeah,
responsibility. We are actually working on a much more equal ground that we probably ever have. The collaborations now are great. But it brings me back to when I was looking for a new role when I was on maternity leave. And I read the statistic somewhere that when we apply for a new job, a man looks at the job spec, and as long as they think they can comfortably do about 50% of the skills required, they will confidently apply.
yeah,
Now, but as women, on the other hand, we feel genuinely, I think lots of us found this, that we needed to master each of the skills required to near perfection before we even consider like putting ourselves down for an interview.
I
We're not
know.
even
I've seen
thinking we're
these
gonna
stats.
get the job. We're scared to ask for an interview, you
But
know.
why?
Oh,
I mean, I guess that's the question. Why? What
yeah.
is it that men feel that confidence to do that
Mm.
that women don't?
Wow. Well, thank you for asking that. I've got lots more on that. There's a couple, I think it's setting up old beliefs in all society,
Yeah,
perception of what should women do and what men should do and what our roles are. And as I said, they changed so much, they blended so much more now, and the equality is there. But when we grew up, certainly my generation, when we grew up still, and hopefully it's different. I can see it's different for the newer generation, but my generation, we grew up with, you're so pretty and you're so lovely, and oh, you're my princess and you're so beautiful, and don't muck up your beautiful dress, thank you for helping mum in the kitchen. Now you go and be a good girl and go and play. Men don't get that. The boys can go and jump in muddy puddles. You're my man. You're going to be so strong. You're so smart. One day you'll lead my company. You're going to go far. You're going to be a great sportsman. It's all about them taking risks and being alpha and being great. And again, I can't stress that enough. I'm so glad that all these narratives are changing. But
Yeah,
certainly
yeah,
for my generation, they were deeply ingrained of going to be a good girl, fit in the box somewhere that society created for you, and just get along with that. So we don't hear you're smart, you're capable, you're strong, you can do whatever you want. And we
yeah.
need to hear that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think you're absolutely right. I've got nailed it on the head. And I,
Mm,
like you, I have a 19-year-old who I'm very glad she's grown up in a generation of
mm,
anything is possible for you. It doesn't matter that you're male, female, it's the same opportunity. So I
exactly.
think as generations are going,
Mm,
hopefully we get that narrative changed and girls are told they're capable of anything.
yeah.
So leading on for them then, obviously everybody, and as if you've just attested to, and I know we spoke earlier about it, about
Mm,
the imposter syndrome, we both had this creep into our lives at times.
yeah.
What do you tell yourself, when that little voice creeps in and goes, I'm not good enough? What tricks do you
Mm.
sort, into your head?
You know what? There's a great thing for this. Is it really true? It's just the
Mm,
question, is this thought really true? So I had a really long chat with my inner critic, especially when I was elevating myself or choosing to progress in my career and choosing to work with women, particularly because of that passion. Is someone actually said to me quite a while ago to write yourself a letter from your ego, which is your inner critic.
yeah.
And you write down absolutely everything that is stopping you from doing what you want. I'm not good enough, I can't handle it, or I'm not smart enough, it's all going to go wrong. What are the children going to think? My husband, like you write everything down on a piece of paper. And then you take another lovely piece of paper and you write down the opposite. What if it's not going to happen? What if I am going to be successful? What if none of what I've just written happens? If all of those fears are completely unfounded, and you look at it saying, is that really true? And then, my trick for it, to silence it completely, is sit with it,
Mm,
feel it, because it's not comfortable. It's like, okay, if all the worst fears happened, is that really true? Is that really going to happen? And, then respond to yourself, from a place of love and passion for what you do. So consciously then choose to do whatever it is your passion is, despite that fear. Because the fear won't go
yeah.
away, but we just need to know where it belongs, and it belongs on the side of protecting us from something unfamiliar.
Yeah, because fear isn't always a bad thing, is it? It's just whether
Yeah.
we turn that fear into something positive or we let it sort of grow and feed on us and
Mm.
stop us doing this. So, that's obviously yourself being able to talk to yourself, going, right, okay,
Yeah.
this little voice, what can I do? Have you ever had a time where you've had someone else, maybe a colleague, mentor, where maybe you've been struggling with this imposter syndrome, that they've told you, you've got this, you can do this. And if that happened, did
Yeah.
you believe it? Did that make a difference? And if it did, why did that make a difference? And what did they say?
Um, yeah, it did happen actually. There's a few things. But one of them that stands out is when I was working as a power planner, my mentor then, who was my colleague, was a consultant in the firm. I worked alongside him for a little while, and we got on to work with lots of clients together. And I got to a place where I'm handling all these meetings on my own. I'm actually, presenting all the advice, which I actually build, and we're chatting on this about this particular client at one point. And he just looked at me and went, "What? Why didn't you become a planner yourself? I mean, you're so good at this. You get on with so many clients, actually better than I do. It's." But
Oh,
what struck me is that I never actually told him before. This is after years working together, that I was a financial planner before my maternity leave. So it's not like I've never done it. I just chose a different
so you
career
didn't know?
after maternity leave. And I said, I used to be a planner. I used to love it. Anyway, the rest is history. I've immediately took some of those clients on, started building my own book. And I've worked with lots and lots of female clients, which is, as you know, this is where I thrive. So the impact was stop playing it small, stop playing it safe. This is actually where you really love
Yeah.
being. This is what I love doing. You only have one life. Go and do it.
So interestingly, going off script now,
Mm,
did he ask you why you, 'cause obviously you've gone from being a financial planner to
mm.
a power planner, and then he's picked up you should be a planner, and you've
Yeah.
said, well, actually I was before maternity leave. Did he question that?
He said, yeah, obviously, I mean, the first question was, so why did you not just go back to your own firm and, worked with your own clients? And answer's convoluted. I was very lucky and very fortunate that I was able to afford to take a really long maternity leave. We had two children, right, one after another. So I was probably out of the workplace for good 3, 4 years. But I loved it. I wouldn't change it. But I didn't love it enough. So I sort of worked alongside. I'd done lots of power planning work whilst on maternity as well for some consultants, so just from home. So when I thought, no, I want to go back to work, it came back down to not that I'm not capable, but can I fit that in with my other priorities in life, with my other
Right.
goals? So it was, I've got two small children. One of them is still up urine denied. What if the client wants a meeting at 6 p.m.? I can't do that. No, my husband's got a very demanding career. And I chose at that point when my children were small to take the lesser career, the less stressful career, for the peace in the house, for my own emotional health, for my sanity, to be able to balance having a, new, very young family, a husband with a demanding job, and then me having a job that is very satisfying and it sort of like brings me back into the mold. So I just sort of took it like a stepping stone, thinking I'll just get back here nice and easy, start part-time, go full-time. And then, maybe a couple of years down the line, my my now mentor, we meet still now and chat about, how far we both came. Um, I just went, oh no, stop holding yourself back. Just go back into it. And, I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad he said that actually, because we actually had a really good laugh about it.
It's good though that he picked
Yeah,
up on it really, and he supported you to go back and
yeah,
say it was that voice that said, why you do what you're doing? You're good at
yeah,
this. So,
exactly. Right.
so if you saw another woman
Mm,
doing exactly the same thing, and this is now your term, what do you think as a woman you can say to another woman to lift
mm,
them up and to give them that confidence that perhaps you didn't have to start? So, you know,
yeah.
what sort of phrases and what things can you say to another woman in that circumstance?
Oh, if we have a whole day. This is something that is really, really important to me, is to be able to shine someone else's light for them in a
Yeah,
moment of self-doubt, in a moment of choosing some pivotal moments in their life. And it became an absolute must for me to do. The way I want to live is when I became a mom, and my daughter is now 9 years old. And I see the effect that the words of others can have on her self-esteem.
yeah,
And, some of the negative comments, they're so painful. And I read somewhere, one negative experience takes four positive experiences to wipe that negative one down or make it less of a pain. And that was just, transformational for me. So I decided that my mission, somewhere, deep down in me will be to empower more women and to connect more women. Um, it's a funny thing, but it's almost I choose to set another queen's tiara straight on their head, to wear it with pride, we
Yeah.
can have it all. So I always say, so, we can all really have it all. We can do whatever we want to do. We can become the person we want to be, but we have to stop playing this game of less, playing it small, playing it safe, because ultimately we then don't live our authentic lives, and we don't have to accept the societal roles. We don't have to just be the homemakers. My husband is a wonderful cook and he picks up children from the school. I love it. His daddy's there, So just I always say what it is you really want, sit down, think about what it is you really want, why you want to do it, what is your why is such an important thing. And if they have a moment of self-doubt, very often, I mean, if it's someone close and we actually have a deep conversation, I would say voice your fears. Tell me everything that you're scared
Yeah.
of, everything. Now I hear you saying them to that, and sometimes it becomes funny because you're like, is that actually true? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Are the things you're saying actually true? Is that terrible fear of, your marriage is going to fall apart because you stayed in the office for an hour longer? Well, no, it won't, just we're fearing things that are actually in reality never going to happen. Is our brain protecting us from something unfamiliar?
Yeah.
So it's just that you can achieve anything you want if you set your mind to it. And
Do
if you
you think
choose to act, choose to act on that in small steps.
it's interesting. I spoke to somebody the other day and they said they feel like they're failing. And I said, why?
Mm,
Why? And they said, well, because I feel like I'm not giving 100% to my job, but I'm not giving
mm,
100% to being a mum. So I'm failing. And I guess that threw me, and that, I
mm.
very often hear that off women. I feel like I'm juggling, and that means I'm not good giving all of that
Yeah,
to that, all of that.
yeah.
Yet I never hear a man go, "I'm not giving 100% to being a dad and 100% to my job."
Yeah.
And I just wonder, do you think that's society expectations on us as a woman that if we do have a family, we've got to be this perfect mum, but then obviously
Mm.
from our job, we've got to be perfect. Why is it that women seem to feel this need to be perfect at both when I don't seem to hear the same off men? I don't
Yeah.
know about you. Have you heard that?
Yes, I have. And as I say, I hear it from my friends. Sometimes I think like that. I'm thinking, okay, this is the time I have to do this, then I have to allocate this time to doing something else. And you come
Yeah,
home and, then you've got the chores and everything. But I think it is the history of the female upbringing. We were meant to be the carers. We are
yeah,
the ones at home protecting the fire, so to speak. We are the life givers. We carry the babies, we feed them, we protect them. Um, but it's so nice now that men can have paternity leave and they can stay home with the children. But I actually, I have clients where the ladies are the breadwinners. They go to work and the husbands stay at
yeah,
home. And how fantastic is that? So you need to find the right network. Like you have to have your tribe around you, so to speak, to be able to do that.
yeah,
And we feel like we're failing mostly because we're so stressed. Lots of times we're just riding around on cortisol high, which is a completely different conversation to.
yeah,
But welcome to open that door as well. And we don't stop. We're not learned to stop and sit and be and actually evaluate, what we're doing. And because we're almost like constantly chasing our tail to be present for the next thing after the next thing, you feel like a failure because actually
yeah,
you never catch up, you don't. Even on holiday, you go, what's the next activity? What do we do? Do we have the right clothes? Oh, have we booked the insurance? Oh, have they got the activity club? Oh, the mum's coming. Oh, I need to cook. When is the shopping coming? There's very rarely a moment in our mind when we just go, okay, I'm on top of everything. But we don't say, oh, I'm going to sit down with a cup of tea and read a book. And, we are getting better at this. We are getting better at this. But we always think, and tell me if it's not true. You sit down, you have a cup of tea and go, what's next?
So on that then,
Mm,
obviously, everyone has had this imposter syndrome.
yeah.
Is there a piece of advice that somebody's told you that you've
Mm,
gone, right, that's good. I know somebody once told me
mm,
that, are you doing it good enough? And I was like, well, I guess, yes, I'm getting through
yeah.
my job, I'm getting it done, and my daughter's fed, watered, seems
Mm,
happy. And they said to me, is it good enough then? And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, okay, then that's fine."
mm,
Whereas expectation is we've got to be perfect.
yeah.
And that was something that stuck with me. Why does it have to be perfect? Why can't
Yeah.
it just be good enough? So I wonder if there's a piece of advice you've heard that really stuck with you.
I think, yeah, there's two pieces depending on which imposter syndrome you're dealing at that moment. One of them is don't get the perfect in a way of job done, which is what
Yeah,
you're saying, it
yeah.
doesn't have to be perfect. It goes with a little quote saying, you don't have to set the lot, the world on fire. It's not gonna have to be perfect. It just has to be done. Um, but the other one, it's more about how to deal with yourself, and it's not hard. It might look scary, but it's only because it's new. Because imposter syndrome often strikes when we're doing something slightly out of our comfort zone,
Yeah.
something that we haven't done for a while, or something we've never done before. You just think, oh, like I said, who am I to be here? Who am I to be listened to? Or what have I got to say on this subject? Turns out a lot. But, you know, it's
And very
it's
good things to say.
it's one of those things where our brain genuinely, and I'm sure lots of people know that, but for me, when I heard that first time, it's revolutionary. Our brain works on what's familiar, neuroplasticity,
Yeah.
all that, and it wishes us to protect us from everything that is scary, that it might harm it. But actually, all of that is growth. That's the new challenge. So I always say to myself, okay, it's not hard. It's not scary. It's new. Let's go and do it. Let's just go and do it.
That's a lovely way to look at it because that was one of the questions actually just
Mm,
on here. It says that, imposter syndrome sometimes means more that it's just something that's going to challenge you and
yeah.
grow. And my question then was, when's that happened to you? And do you think you
Mm.
came out stronger the other side? So you sort of answered that there, where
I've got
yes,
a great
imposter syndrome.
story for that one if you want. I've got a
Yes,
great
please.
story for that one. So when I joined First Wave and really thought about, what is it I really, really want to do, despite of everything I can do, what it is I really want to do. And I had this brilliant idea that I'm going to set up an event for all our female clients and our female introducers. Men were obviously invited. It was a networking thing. They could bring their husbands or another person that thought might benefit from the talk. And I had this intuitive coach who I love dearly, she agreed, very kindly agreed to do a talk about navigating big changes in our lives. And this goes so beautifully with financial planning, making challenges, pivoting, decisions for the future. So I thought this is going to be great. And then I was so busy doing, I was so busy organizing that I even asked one of our founders to give a talk about the financial planning, the importance of financial planning. And I was so proud of myself that they both said yes, that I never thought about what that meant. You're going to laugh. My colleague then turned around, looked at me when I revealed this grand plan. This is like at the point of invitation going out. And she just looked at me and went, why on earth are you not talking at your own event?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That would be a question I would have asked you.
Yeah, but as we were talking, we are so busy doing next thing, next thing. And I just felt, well, why am I talking about my event? I want to talk at my own event. Why did I not even say, no, it's my event. I'm going to talk at my event. Anyway, there was nowhere to hide. There was no could not, no should not, not would not. I spoke at the event.
And did you
Loved
feel
it.
better for it? Yeah, I was just going to say,
Loved it. Alison loved it. Even managed to put a joke and a two into the speech. Rehearsed it, rehearsed it, rehearsed it. Don't tell anybody. Kind of like public speaking.
I mean, we might have told a few people on this now.
Kind of like public speaking. It genuinely came so much stronger on the other side that I just thought, how, not even how did I not think of that? Because I'm sure it crossed my mind, but my brain just shut it down, going, no, you
Yeah.
got these amazing people. Who are you to talk?
And yet it was you that organised the
It's
event.
my own event. So anyway, I was so glad that she picked me up on it. We had a great laugh about it afterwards.
Oh, and were you proud of yourself? I guess
Oh,
that's
so
the thing,
proud.
isn't it?
Yeah,
So
I
you
know, I
did this
loved
in,
it.
so you did this imposter. Who am I to speak? And then actually by speaking, this
Yeah.
sense of pride, and I'm sure everyone came up to you and said how good it was and how
Hmm.
what an amazing event and everything. And that must have made you feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah, it actually really did because I thought that by organizing it, it will be mine. But it's like, well, no, it's by talking to people about why you organized it. It
Yeah.
became mine. So it was a really lovely evening, and I'm really, really hoping to do many more. I'm going to try and do something like a reset for 2025 for people
Make sure
looking
you
forward
send
to
me
the
an
planning.
invite in
Yeah.
the post. I'd love to hear
Oh,
what you
absolutely, absolutely. Now I have to do it, you see.
put
Hold yourself
it out here now.
accountable. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
do you get days of self-doubt? And when you, because sometimes it's moments and sometimes it's days. I don't know about you, but I can come to it going,
Mm,
I don't know what I'm doing today. I'm really scared. I've got this, and this, and and you panic before you even start the day. Is
yeah.
there like a little saying or phrase you say to yourself, that gets you through those days?
Mm. My friend, I remember one of my colleagues used to say, "Put your big girl's pants on." But I'm not sure you want to put that one
That's
on
one
there.
I hear a lot, actually.
Yeah, put your
Yes.
big girl's pants on. That was, I think that's it actually. I sometimes think about, I say to myself again, it's not hard, it's not scary, it's new, go and do
Yeah.
it.
Oh, we froze.
I very often remind myself about why I'm in the place where I struggle. And I'm just thinking, okay, so what it is that I'm actually finding difficult. And very often it's not the task itself, it's the fear of judgment or fear
Yeah.
of, someone actually saying, oh, that's not good enough, or, you know, feeling that someone else could have done it better. Well, they ask you. So
Yeah.
you do the best job. So I think that's for me is one of those realizing that as female planners, as women in any roles, we actually have not the power, but the obligation to, show as the best us, like show as the best possible, show up as we are authentically and work really hard on what we want to do. And, I think when you do that, everything just sort of falls into its place. Really, it does.
I think also, I think as a generation where there's a lot of new women coming through and and
Mm,
it's important that women like yourself, like Gretchen and director of Magenta, I
yeah.
think it's important that they put themselves out there and say,
Mm,
we're not perfect.
no.
So stop thinking you have to be better than the men in the industry
Yes.
and perfect. And I think that's a real strong message that we do need to support,
Mm,
next generation coming in. You don't have to be better than the men. You just have to be as good as
no,
you are, isn't it?
exactly. Yes,
And
I totally agree.
yeah. So we're sort of coming towards the end. So there's a couple of questions I want to get in.
Yeah.
So so talking about the young women and sort of the
Mm,
next sort of generation that are coming in, what would you say to a young woman, coming into the industry or, any, I guess, high pressure sort of industry, similar to the financial services, who's just starting out and they're sort of feeling like, I don't know if I can do this.
mm,
They're really judging themselves against maybe their male counterparts, that sort of thing.
yeah.
What do you think you could say to them with your experience?
Mm. Well, firstly, don't judge yourself against your male counterparts because
Yeah,
you're so unique and you're so different. So let's just not even go there.
that's lovely. Yeah.
Um, I have I got a few that worked for me, I think, because I started at the very bottom of the food chain, as you say, as a client support and worked my way through for 20 years. The one that really works is no one else in the room is perfect. So wherever you walk in, we're all just human. We're all just doing the best that we're able to do at that point. You know, just do that. You'll do great. Very important for women. I mean, for men, it's different. And I'm not going to say the golf makes it easier, but it does. But for women, find your tribe. Connect with women. People love it. You will love it. Don't be scared and go out and find the people that are right for you, whatever that means, because they're out there. But also, what I learned is you have to be true to who you are to find the right people for you. Because if you fake it, you don't find the right people. So be very true to yourself and you find the right people for you. Collaboration is everything. So collaborate, follow the people that are like-minded to you, that share the same values. Don't be scared of more successful people. That was a very good one.
Yeah.
Don't be scared of more successful people. Learn from them. Copy them, learn from them, follow them. Um, the opposite also, what I really like was don't ever take criticism from somebody that's done less in their life than you have. That's
Really,
just
I've
no
never heard
value.
that.
Don't ever take criticism from someone who has done less in their life than you have. Isn't it beautiful? How dare you criticize me? How do you know what I've been through? I might have gone through mountains 100 times higher than you, and you criticize me? No one knows what's happening in anyone's personal life. So be kind, have courage, act in small steps. But what I really like, which I mentioned before, is you don't have to set the world on fire on your first try. Just try. Just do it,
Yeah.
So I think that would be it. I always say to my clients, life's an adventure. Where are we going next? Because the biggest regret for everybody, that with your clients as well, the biggest regret is not to take the risk to live the life you want. So if you want to do this, what are we waiting for? In any aspect of our life, we often wait for that moment when we have time, when we have money, when we retire, when children are older, when something else happens. And that's just all our brain's excuses
Hmm.
because it doesn't want us to go into this unfamiliar place, which is where we might naturally be guided to go to and be perfect in our jobs.
So you mentioned you've got a 9-year-old, so my last sort
Yeah.
of question to you sort of thing. And
Hmm.
do you think things are changing for women? Do you think the imposter syndrome that many women, seem to carry, especially in male-dominated industries like
Hmm.
financial planning, do you see that changing?
I really want to believe that it's true that I see the change because obviously we have younger female ladies in our office, women. Um, and sort of everywhere I go, women are much more confident. Women have now studied the same, or if not more. Women traveled. We watched a movie with my 9-year-old, and it's brilliant actually. It's called Young Woman and the Sea. Watch, enjoy. Um, And she said, Mummy, what do you mean she couldn't go in the sea? Like, I can swim. And I said, yes, but when you're in 19 something, you were not allowed to learn to swim. So obviously that we're talking 100 years here, but in terms of generations now, yes, I do see the shift. And I love seeing the shift. I came 20 years in from you listen to that older gentleman in a pinstripe suit because he must be right. And it
Mm.
takes quite a while to get to a confidence in your own ability to recognize what's true and what isn't, especially because there's so many of them when you walk into a conference, the room is full of
And
them. And
then, yeah.
there is us walking in a flower dress going, how you doing today? How are you showing up for yourself today? And it was really funny when we're talking about changes. When I was a kid, my biggest dream was to become a pilot. Partly because
Oh,
I was in a communist country, I really wanted to get out, perhaps, so subconsciously I thought I'd be a pilot, a fly away. It was very small. And then I've been told that no, you can't be a pilot because that's a man's job. And insult to injury, I then had to wear glasses. So yeah, I couldn't be a pilot because now your vision's not perfect. And that is not true now.
I
Now
know.
female pilots with contact lenses or eye surgery, whatever it is, but it's possible. So I
Yeah,
really want to believe that anything's possible, that we
it's
have moved on from those
yeah.
gender stereotypes, from those society perceptions of what's normal or what's correct. I mean, no, get away with that now, please.
I was just going to say, like the adverts, I don't know if you've seen it, sort of Virgin, the BA ones, where there's a female pilot sort of in it.
Mm,
Those are great, aren't they, for the next generation of women that
exactly.
goes, you can do this, you can be
Yeah.
whatever you want, And I think that's what we really need society to just be
Mm,
ramming that message home, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Because
Petra, you've been amazing to speak to. Is there anything
thank
that
you.
you want to say to wrap this up then to everyone that's watching? And if anyone has felt that imposter syndrome, is there anything you'd like to sort of wrap up with?
Um, maybe a little bit spiritual, but I would just say find what you believe in. Really think about who you want to be, who you're going to become, and choose to do it despite all the fear, and then act on it. And, every small step going forward. And one day you turn around and you've been there the whole time. So, put the fear aside, let it there to guide you away from danger, actual
Yeah.
danger, but don't let it to guide you away from your dreams.
That's a lovely, lovely message to end on. And I could have talked to you for hours about this subject, and we
Yes,
we did
please.
last Friday, wasn't it? We just chatted and chatted, and
Yes.
it was always hard to condense it into something because
Mm,
obviously something you're passionate about, and sort of I know I'm passionate about as well. Thank you so much for that, and yeah, thank
sure.
you very much. And let's hope that the next generation won't have to
Mm.
have this conversation because maybe imposter syndrome for them doesn't exist quite the same way as it has for our generation.
I
But
truly
brilliant.
hope so. I truly hope
Thank
so.
you very much, Petra. I'm just going to stop recording now then.
Thank you so much, Alison.